It's Biden versus Trump, folks. Forget the, is Oprah gonna run? Is Michelle Obama gonna run? Like, don't waste another minute thinking about, is it gonna be somebody else? Unless, because they're both older gentlemen, does something physically happen to either one of them? That's the only reason. But right now, assume it's Biden versus Trump. Maybe in Iowa, if I see something that surprises me when it comes to the outcome, that's gonna be different. But right now, this is the way it's gonna be. It's gonna be an extremely close election. If it's not Biden, by the way, it's gonna be VP Kamala Harris. I'll show you those numbers as well. If you're a Democratic pollster right now, you'd be terrified. Biden's approval ratings in March of 2021 were 57%. October 2023, they've fallen to 44%. You don't have a decline like that unless you start to lose part of your base. On all kinds of important numbers, Biden is underwater. On the economy, on stimulating jobs, foreign affairs. That's got to be galling, right? He's supposed to be the foreign affairs president, and he's scoring very low there, only a 43% approval rating. Violence and crime, 37%. Handling inflation, immigration, negative. I mean, not negative, but below 50. Here's what pollsters will tell you, though. Here's a headline from 1 year before Obama's reelection. The Biden-Harris campaign sent this out in the wake of some very bad poll data that came out recently. This is the headline from a year before Obama's reelection. Is Obama toast? Handicapping the 2012 election. By the way, I could show you headlines similar to Ronald Reagan 1 year before his reelection, where he won in a landslide like we haven't seen since. So 1 year away is still difficult to predict, and a lot can happen. The other thing that Democratic pollsters will tell you is this presidential election is very different for one key reason. Usually, when an incumbent president is running for re-election, it is a referendum on the sitting elected president. This time, though, that is not the case. This time, it is all about Donald Trump. He is going to drive extremely high turnout, and Democrats will tell you that he is going to drive out not just his supporters, but his detractors. He is the best person for President Biden to run against, because even if you are not enthusiastic about Joe Biden, if you're a Democrat, you probably cannot stand the notion of Donald Trump becoming president again, so you are going to come out and vote even if you're not enthusiastic about your particular candidate, right? That being said, there are some warning signs. There was this shocker poll that came out November 5th in the New York Times, Siena College, and here's where they only looked at battleground states. Because most of the states in the country, you know where California's electoral votes are going to go. You know where New York's electoral votes are going to go. We now know where Florida's electoral votes are going to go. It used to be a purple state, not anymore. Biden trails in all the battleground states except Wisconsin. And here's the next data point that I think is a warning sign for Democrats, because there's been an assumption that certain parts of the population would always vote Democratic. The more diverse the state, the more Trump is ahead in these battleground states. He's ahead in Nevada by 10 points. He's ahead in Georgia by 6, Arizona by 5, Michigan by 5, Pennsylvania 4, Wisconsin, least diverse state, Biden leads by 2, and that's within the margin of error. More warning signs for assumptions that Democrats have had about Trump. In 2016, 47% of white women voted for Donald Trump. In 2020, 53% of white women voted for Donald Trump. So he narrowed the gender gap in the second election. Hispanics, 28% of them voted for Trump in 2016, 38% voted for him in 2020. That's not more than half, but it's directionally significant and extremely surprising based on what people had assumed. Young adults went from 28% to 35%. White men, one of the few cohorts that fell from 62% to 57%, perhaps because he was running against Joe Biden. This comes from the Pew Research Center. They do a lot of great data post-election on this.